Show, don't tell. Bringing your story to life. Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass. Anton Chekhov. I struggled with the concept of show don't tell for years. When I read this quote by Chekhov, I started to understand a bit. I'd like to say the window of my understanding smashed open at that moment like the broken glass, but it took a bit more study. We all have our things, right? Before fully utilizing this writing method, I repeatedly received a lot of show don't tell critiques. A frustrated reader. Then I read a book that started with an info dump. In other words, the author dumped a lot of info they thought the reader needed right at the beginning. Did I make it past chapter 1? Sadly, no. I skimmed. Don't info dump. Yes, I'm shouting because this all comes back around to how I finally understood the concept of show don't tell. I'm hoping it'll help you too. And just a little side note here, usually you can identify an info dump by a big block of text containing backstory. The content of the info dump is either information that would be better delivered organically woven into the story or on an as-needed basis. Or it also could be better kept in a document as exploratory writing, which is unpublished writing the writer does for themselves to get a better understanding of their characters and the plot. Sometimes we have a great concept for a character or another aspect of the story, and the reader doesn't really need all of this at once, even though you might be really excited to share it. Often this info is more for you, the writer, to have a better understanding of who you're dealing with, and how they'd respond to a situation, how the rules of magic would work, or some other aspect of the world you've created. So when I'm writing fantasy, for instance, I often do exploratory writing before or during drafting, and I have notebooks and documents filled with details that are just for me, so that I have answers to questions like, what would it mean for a pirate ship to sink, or who would rule if the queen disappeared, etc. It's kind of a way for me to immerse myself in the world so that when I arrive, I know where I'm going, but kind of keep that from the reader unless it's necessary. And then there was the moment that it clicked. So I started reading a different book after the info dumpy one. The first chapter of the new book was richly told with detail, bringing the scene and characters to life. Understanding slowly unfolded in a turn of phrase here, a sentence there, which became a paragraph until I forgot I was reading. I was in the world the author had created because they deliciously strung words together, like glistening beads of honey that I could taste, feel. I don't think you can hear honey, but you get what I mean. So it was at that point that the show don't tell concept finally crystallized. If you're hoping for some examples, you're in luck. Here we go. Example 1, tell. My ex didn't appreciate the household makeover. Show. My ex sent me a photo of the apartment in Brooklyn along with a nasty text. I expected to also see a copy of the credit card statement with all the pillows, decor, and new carpet I'd purchased, highlighted in red pen, but maybe it didn't come in the mail yet. To example 2. Tell. She was still wet from her shower when she heard the noise. Show. Her wet hair slapped her back as she peered down the hallway. The only sound was it dripping onto the floor. Example 3. Tell. He freezes. Show. He moves robotically into the hall as if he's afraid Cooper will disapprove of our alliance. Avoiding my gaze, it's clear he's more fearful of me. So, just for instance here, he freezes isn't terrible. It is technically showing, because it's an action, but usually we can do better. Helpful prompt number 1. So these next few slides these suggestions will help you understand this concept even better. So, show the reader how the character sees the world. Write actively. Actions speak louder than words. Bring the page to life with sensory aspects. Helpful prompt 2. I've found about show don't tell is it's a concept that you get from practice and study. I recommend paying attention to what you're reading. Are you in the world? Is the author bringing it to life? What senses do they invoke with each sentence? Can you feel, taste, hear, see what they're writing about? That's showing. Helpful prompt number 3. Try rewriting these 3 simple sentences, showing, not telling. The peach tasted good. It was too hot for her to go outside. When the teacher passed him back his text, he was upset. You can pop them in a post on our members-only Facebook page if you'd like, where you can get some feedback. Also, it would be really fun to see what everyone comes up with. Caveat. There are some times when a bit of telling is okay too, because it can keep the pace moving along if showing isn't critical. Additionally, telling can also work as a placeholder while you're in drafting mode. You can go back later and create a fuller scene if you can't type fast enough to get your thoughts down.